I'm Scott Allen Miller. This is my life living in Leon, Nicaragua. Today I left the Expats WhatsApp group here in Nicaragua and feel that maybe it's worth having a little explanation about that so the people who are looking for that, because I've been pushing it for the last couple of years, for a while since WhatsApp made that available to us. I've been pushing that as an important forum, and I think it is for people to be able to have real-time conversations with each other and to get access to me for things. But there's a number of problems that have always existed with any forum, with having a forum, and there are some things that came up today that I felt simply put me in a position where it isn't something that I should be doing. And the reality is it probably never was something. It was probably a bad idea at the beginning, but I'm hoping that it's created value for people. I hope it continues to create value for people and that it is something that is awesome. D. Gilbert just posted, "Don't go." So I'm going to give it a minute for people to get on, but I wanted to provide some because I know a lot of people are not watching the conversations or understanding what's going on, and for sure having no idea of the underlying currents behind some of these things. And so I just wanted to have a spot, since I actually had a video ready for today. So this is not me being lazy and doing a live stream just because I didn't have a video made, but it could have been. That's a reasonable guess. For anyone who may think that, I'm going to push it till Friday because tomorrow is the long form live stream. I actually recorded the video that we're doing in it was recorded in August that I'm going to release on Friday. I finally got around, and it needed like another 45 seconds at the end of it. That's what it was waiting for me to just wrap it up. All the actual video was done. It just didn't have that, like, I'll see you all tomorrow. And it took forever to get around to doing that. Jan says, one person who's not lazy in any way is Scott Allen Miller. And I do tend to be pretty busy and productive. And actually, that's one of the reasons. So as people hop on, I want to talk about what's going on with the group. So first of all, I've been involved in similar groups, not about relocation or expats or living abroad or anything like that, but going back to about 97 or so. Oh, Beverly Evans is here. Hi from Cape Girardeau. And so I have a long history with social media, and for people who want to search on me, between some technical forums, now this is before we had this direct conversation system where it'd be more like question and then people answer things, which I would be much more likely to be involved in than the WhatsApp, Facebook groups. I love because they're just a conversation, but they're also very, very time sensitive and time consuming and very difficult to follow and very subject to topical degradation and things like that. So they can be, hey, Luke. So they just as a format, I don't like them. Which is not what this is about, but it is actually true. If this was instead of a Facebook real-time sort of group, obviously it's not Facebook. Actually, it's not that obvious. It's all meta, right? So it kind of is. But I used to work with Spiceworks and MangoLassi.it, and before that, some other things. And so I've put in a lot of work. And if you look, I have about 500,000 posts in where I'm actually posting answers. Now sometimes those posts are I think this is the right answer, or I don't know what I think this is a tough thing you can't solve. Sometimes that's all it is, but 500,000 of them just in technical realms, with a lot of them being very deep, like math and stuff. So it's something I've put a lot of work in, and even in really well professionally moderated groups, which are not real time but have topical threads and ways to break things up, and just way easier to moderate and way easier to control with your personal time and stuff. Still found that over time, toxicity tends to creep its way in. At the beginning of any group, you tend to have this pretty good initial group of people that's really dedicated and all on the same mission. That's why they're there, right? They're early adopters. They're all people you know. They're people who talk to people you know. They're people who saw it happen. They're gotta do this, and they jump right on it. But then over time, you start getting people who casually find it, and some of them are great, and some of them are just passing by, and so you get a different audience. And at some point, you start to attract people who have just not been welcomed to other places and are looking for a place where they can be, I guess. And sometimes that's okay, but they tend to not do well in those communities because they have nothing really strong to contribute. And so, but they want to participate. That's why they're there. And so they tend to just kind of waste time or whatever. And that's just natural, right? So you get this like fringe of people who are going to do that. And you get some people who just watch and are never really involved, and they don't cause any problems, right? But so there's just these groups that happen. And at some point you get people who find it entertaining to stir things up or cause other problems, or people who try to use it as a sales platform or something else or whatever. Dale's here. He says, "Hey Scott, I'm behind, just watching from the beginning." And so there's just this natural progression of groups, and it can be very difficult. So I've seen it happen in bigger forms and such. But as a base for me, starting this group, I feel like the reason that we wanted to do it, and I think it continues to have value, right? So go join it, make sure you're in it, is that there were a lot of these, and they're all horrible, right? We're going back a long time, mostly on Facebook. And I'm not saying they're all horrible. I know some people who have really small ones and they're okay, but basically they're all horrible, right? And mostly what happens is somebody has a financial interest in the group, right? And that person eventually gets control of it because everybody else either ends up just moving on, life situation changes, they just phase out of it, they don't have the interest, or they get frustrated for some reason and give up. And those who are potentially making money from it always have this incentive to hang in there. And so they tend to. And so whether they're the ones who start the groups, or at the end of the day, they're the only ones left standing that are willing to put in the time and the effort to control them, they end up controlling the groups. And it's just the natural progression of things. And so it's a dangerous thing with these kinds of groups that can happen. Also, as a very important like foundational, and a lot of you guys know, you watch my videos, it doesn't take too much to at least guess this, and I do mention it quite often, so if you watch enough, you're probably pretty aware, but I'm quite autistic and very much on the spectrum, and there are some things that matter a lot to me, and I'm also very busy. I'm not retired. I'm not doing the group because I'm bored. It's something that I avoided for a long time because I'm absolutely not bored, right? I wake up in the morning and I work all day, and I really only stop working when I have a family event going on or my kids are available. And obviously, I make time for my kids, but that's like what I do. I make time for my kids. Okay, my kids want to do something, I'm going to stop working, right? So having a group like this directly has to, right? It's math. I don't have spare time in my day. And so whenever I have a group like this, taking time to participate takes time out of my day. I'm taking it out of work. I won't let it take real time away from my kids. Although like today, I felt like it did. My daughter wanted to talk to me, and I'm mentally, in this place, and I want to finish this conversation. And it's like, I want my daughter to be able to pop in and talk to me and not have things distracting me. Work does, I can't avoid it, but if I could eliminate some things, if I'm like prepping for a D&D campaign, that I don't find that mentally distracting. If I'm editing a video, I don't find that mentally distracting, right? There's like different things. So I have this really busy time frame. So doing, even just participating, let alone moderating on these groups, carries a lot of overhead for me, which for some people isn't really that much overhead. For some people, they're like, this is nothing. Like, I just, I can not pay attention sometimes, and you see things pop up, and it's like, that's cool. And for a lot of people, it's an opportunity that they're socializing, and it's a place to do that. And I love that people do, and I love the people in the group. We have this huge, awesome community. It's been fantastic. But as that threshold gets higher, as there's more people, there's more conversation, for me, it becomes very draining. And many of you know I'm pretty social, so going out and hanging out with people does not really drain me the way that it does with like an introvert. Like I'm pretty good about being able to go out and be with people all the time. The only thing that drains me is that when I have stress, like there's work I need to do and I'm not doing it, being out will cause me to feel some loss of energy. But so, and then the moderation pieces, I find very stressful. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people don't want to moderate. People who really want to control a group are like, haha, moderate, right? But in general, I think most people are like, oh no, making decisions and trying to remember who's who and track behavior over time. And just all of that is very not fun work, or it's actively stressful. And for me, it's definitely actively stressful. And I'll pick on Bryce because he's been moderated more than anyone. And he won't care that I'm talking about him. But, you know, Bryce created situations where we really needed to moderate him. And he was actually an easier one because it was like, these are just lines you can't cross. We have to ban you, right? And things like that. But after a long time, 6 months or something, he managed to sneak back in, which made people upset, and maybe that was a good reason to just ban him right there. But he has behaved much better since. So is a permanent ban versus a semi-permanent ban is tricky to get back in. Like, it becomes a tough one. Oh, he snuck back in. Do we just ban him outright? Do we wait to see if he, you know, is a problem again? It has been a bunch of time. There's always some amount of gray area, and that I find very stressful. And for those who aren't doing it, it's not just this personal stress that I feel, which is one thing, and it goes in both directions, right? I have to protect the people in the community as a moderator from, you know, harassing speech or misinformation or whatever. And there's real misinformation, and there's like poor information or unknown information. Like it's a difficult concept. But then I also have this trying to not hurt even just their feelings of individual people who, you know, and every time that Bryce got banned, he would come to me personally and be like, oh, I didn't mean that. You misread this, blah, blah, blah. But I have all these other people who are like, why did you let him go for so long? Right. So on one side, I'm constantly getting people who are upset that I let people stay because, and loads of people tell me, well, I'm going to leave because this person is there. And I'm like, this is a tough thing to balance because I can't just let people say, well, we're all going to leave, so get rid of them. But I also have to balance, this person is making a bunch of people want to leave. And so those are difficult things. And so I find it very stressful all the time, right? And I find that it's a very large, and I don't mean to use this term negatively, it's a time suck. Right. For me, having a very busy life and you know, I have kids and work and all this stuff. If I'm in that group, it's time that I'm not taking to make this. Right. We're not making the videos because I'm chatting in the group, or I'm not making software that I need to pay the bills because I'm in that group or whatever. Right. So it's always a choice. And a stressful one for me to spend time in that group versus other things. So it needs to be something where I feel that I'm appreciated or I can't handle it, and I need to feel that it's providing value or perceived value to the people who are in the group. And so that's just a really important context that I hope you guys understand, that if I was not autistic and really, really casual to a lot of the things that happen in the group, like if people are trying to scam each other or you know, troll, some people are just like, whatevs, doesn't matter, like, I don't care. And some people have plenty of time, right? You're retired and it's your job's paying you, whether you're looking at it or not, or you're able to look at the community and instantly be like, oh, I gotta do something, and just turn it off and move. I can't. Right, if there's something going on, especially misinformation or someone's trying to harm somebody, it gets into my brain, and I either have to just ignore it, which is a very heavy emotional burden for me, being the way that I am, or I have to respond. And the worst thing is when someone tries to interrupt me while I'm responding. Like, just let me respond, and then I can calmly, logically respond for the most part. But if people interrupt me, it's like, now I have to race and like, stop, you're derailing me. So for me, that's, if at all possible, I want to avoid that, right? I don't want to be in that position where I feel I have to, you know, if it's misinformation, like, I think the buses run till 7. No, I think they only run till 6. You should plan to go earlier. Oh, okay, right. That, you know, but when someone's like trying to trick people, or something, and you're stuck having to, because in forums, like in the community for this show, for the YouTube show, when people are spreading misinformation, they're not doing it to the person they're speaking to. It feels that way because that's the tactic, but they're actually doing it for other people who casually read. And so if I, as the person who's quite often being spoken to, sometimes directly, sometimes just assumed, and I say nothing, it at least feels like I'm giving a tacit approval of misinformation. And in a forum like this, I feel that people are there partially because they want me to be providing this voice of reason about some of these topics, and so, which I appreciate and I'm happy to do, but it leaves a lot of mental overhead at the end of the day. So this is a thing that is always very difficult for me. Just in general, so there's a reason why I didn't do this for a long time. It was not something that I wanted to do, but at some point, WhatsApp gave us this technology, and it was like, okay, we'd kicked it around for at least a year, right? Because I run mangolassi.it. We've hit 135 million views in a month on a forum, right? And these are permanent forums that Google can search, and so if we were doing the same thing for this, right, we would have like a topic that's, what is the amount that you owe for, or the amount you have to bring in for a rentista, and then we would have, as of this date, 1,250, right? If you see this number, it was from this date, and this is how out of date that thing is, or whatever. And then people could post, yes, I just did this, and it was the same, right, a week later. And we'd be like, okay, we can reference that. So we got this information. And then if people have, specific questions, we can be like, okay, we're going to split that off to a new thread, or, it's directly directly relevant here, so we'll keep it here. And so there's just this power to that. And if someone wants to post something that's not inappropriate but completely irrelevant, it's really easy to shunt them off somewhere. We used to use the term water cooler, right? Just like when you go to the office. Yeah, you can go to someone's cubicle and you're like, hey, can you tell me how to file this 8320 document that's due at the end of the month? I'm not sure what my boss is looking for. Okay, let me help you fill this out, right? That's okay, a waste of time, but it's what you have to do for your job. But then you go to the water cooler and they're sitting around going, so what are you filling in for the NFL draft on virtual, video role-playing football that we do at the office? And you're like, this is not my job. This is just wasting my time, burning my mental energy here. But it's not inappropriate, at least not in most workplaces. It's not considered inappropriate, but it just wastes my time. So if you have a forum like we had with mangolassi.it, which is still out there, putting stuff into the water cooler and letting people go have their tangents as long as they're appropriate, no problem. I don't have to look at them, right? And people kind of know they're not being moderated as much, and they know that people aren't, as long as the topic's okay, no one's really looking at it. And that's cool. But if you have a forum like this, where it's just everyone in a room and it's just stuff going, you can't do those things. And so everything becomes every little bit of, we're not really talking about something deep, and so we're just going to throw extra topics in here. It becomes much more derailing. But how much do you moderate that, right? It's a very difficult thing, because for a bunch of people, it's like, we want to hang out, we want to share ideas. And what's off topic? And trust me, no one is more like everything's on topic when you're an expat. Expat's just like a state of life, right? Imagine having a forum that Scott starts that's, here's the forum for men. That's it, just men. What would be off limits? What doesn't apply to men? Very few things. Right? If you want to talk about beer, yep, that's on topic. If you want to talk about model trains, that's on topic. We could talk about makeup. Someone's going to say, makeup's a women's topic. But it's not. It's everyone's topic, right? Just not as many men do it, but it doesn't make it not a topic that pertains to some men. Plus, we could talk about women wearing makeup, right? So you can come up with a way to take anything and make it applicable when you're taking something general, right? So who's an expat? Anybody, right? Literally anybody. Well, what are expats interested in? Anything. And so if you're interested in anything and you live anywhere, now this is kind of a Nicaraguan one, so we have a little bit of a topic, but the topic isn't Nicaragua. It's people who live in Nicaragua who started somewhere else. And even with that, there's a number of people who are just Nicaraguan who take an interest in people who live in Nicaragua, who have lived somewhere else. And of course, there's people who are just thinking about maybe living in Nicaragua, but might want to live somewhere else. And of course, there's people who used to live in Nicaragua, right? Like, so you get like, even that, you get like this cloud of people. What could possibly be off topic? In this group, everybody's interested in something, right? So someone may be interested in airplanes, but I'm interested in model trains, and someone else is interested in Dungeons and Dragons. Well, are any of these things off topic? Well, no, because people who are in Nicaragua could be interested in any of those things. And where do you draw the line? Well, you say, well, okay, but those things are like hobbies, so we don't want to talk about hobbies. Well, okay, but why would hobbies be off limit, right? Because hobbies are done here. If you just did if you was whatever country you're from, you just did lifestyle was the topic, would you rule out hobbies? Hobbies are part of your lifestyle. Well, really obvious things that we talk about are restaurants or hotels. Those seem really on topic, but how are they more on topic than model trains if you're doing model trains in Nicaragua, right? It becomes very difficult to draw these lines. And so it just becomes this very broad, very gray area thing in general. By the way, while we're at one, give us a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. But also, I want to say this is the first time, and I did a live stream 48 hours ago, and this didn't exist. So since 48 hours ago, YouTube has released the dual stream option, which we are doing, where we're wide for the people who are on TVs and stuff, and we're vertical for people who are on cell phones. It's pretty cool. And because of the format I use, both work just fine. So I think we're going to be doing this a lot. So look for it tomorrow night. It's a neat idea that they did. So it's also our sample of that. So today, so that's kind of a background, right? So think about this whole context of this is a thing I wasn't really sure was a good idea. I was nervous about doing it. I'm autistic. Certain things hit me really hard compared to other people, and other things are really easy for me compared to other people. So I'm just different than average. So just understand that. And I'm really busy. And so this group is both a potentially dangerous time spend for me on one side and a potential emotional drain on the other. And no amount, unfortunately, of awesome people having awesome conversations in the group. I could have 100 great conversations and then have one where I felt like really, not lack of appreciation, but actively unappreciated, or someone's angry that I'm there, or just hates me and is using it as a platform to troll or to harm or to whatever. And just because of who I am, I can logically say, oh no, the forum is a good thing. 100 people were helped. One person was being a jerk, right? Logically, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. This isn't a bad thing, right? But when I look at it from my own perspective, I'm emotionally hit by that situation, and this harms my life. And it's different than in the comments here on YouTube, because this isn't a forum. It's super clear. If you're posting to me, right? If you lie to me, you're gone, right? If you harass me, you're gone. Like, they're very black and white rules, and so with some of those very simple rules, it stops. Right? Not 100%, but it mostly stops. The actual amount that there's, things that need to be moderated is extremely little. So it's not nearly as bad as you'd think. But even when it is bad, I don't have to defend the third party person. in most cases. When someone says something, misinformation, they lie, they're trying to say a lie to me, they don't think I'm going to believe it, obviously, right? I get this, I'll just give an example. People will say to me all the time that I live in a certain kind of country or I'm only allowed to do certain things, and they'll lie to my face because I do those things, and I know very much so that we'll just say model railroading. Someone will be like, you live in a country that doesn't allow model railroading, and I'll be like, I'm here model railroading. And just before anyone's like super interested and is like, can I come over to your house and see your model trains? Look, my model railroad stuff is mostly in boxes, but I am at some point going to like have a cool layout, probably in 20 years. Don't get your hopes up. But I do love model railroading. I've been doing it since I was 11. It's fun. It's relaxing. But I don't have time for that or space at the moment. But both of my children long-term want to have model railroads with me. It's something we've always wanted to do together. So it's not going to go away. And I do have a lot of my trains here, which I don't have a ton. But imagine someone telling me you're not allowed to do that. And I'll be like, but I do that. So we know you're not trying to convince me, right? You know you're lying. You know I know you're lying. It's the people observing that conversation that you're actually trying to mislead. When it's on the group, you have a different problem. It's real time. I feel forced to acknowledge that I'm being lied to and be like, you guys know this is a lie. And then we have to like, how do you deal with that? But in the YouTube form, it's very easy to just be like, this didn't happen, right? Because we have a rule. I don't have to be like, okay, you're lying, I'm going to explain to you. No. We have a black and white rules. It says what you're allowed to do. You can't do this. So today there was a situation where someone was trolling me, and it's a number of things, and people had different opinions on this, right? So, and I'm fine with that. I'm completely open to. I perceive these things differently, and I've talked to Janet a bit about it. And to me, it was a person who was always just filling the group with spam, basically. Right, not harmful normally, but I don't look at any of it. If I see that person, I instantly just ignore, because there's so much. It's just a look at me kind of thing. So it's an ongoing not adding value thing from what I've seen. I've never seen value from this person. I don't see a whole bunch of like they've earned up credit of providing a bunch of value, and maybe today was a bad day. It was, I see this person as a general pretty significant problem to the group, because the people who stay are like, no, it's cool. Like they fit that vibe. But there's a lot of people who probably don't stay because they look at the group and go, this is just a bunch of gibberish, right? It's just a bunch of things that are unrelated to anything. It's constant. So I know that it carries risk, but how much I don't know. So I wasn't going to do anything about it. Right? I've never even said anything about it, but it's a person I've been observing, and I know the moment I see them on anything, I'm annoyed. Oh, they're just going to fill the thread with garbage again, without fail. But then jumped on and today started spreading misinformation that was medical scams, and then lied to my face, and put me into this position of now this is this person that's been on a lot, and some people know. And they're putting me in a position of where do I go? If I just accept it, it's really condescending to be like, I'm accepting that you're so dumb that you believe these things. I don't believe that he's that dumb. I think that he was trying to draw me out. This is a troll tactic. Act really stupid. So either I'm stuck defending something as being a lie or accept them as being stupid. That's a no-win situation. No matter what I do, there's a way, as long as you have an outside observer, to try to make me be the bad guy, right? It's a very important thing. As a moderator, you have to watch for this and be very aware that it happens. It's a setup where it's a very well-established pattern. So you know that trolls are doing this because they know how to do it. And they'll start with saying something that is completely ridiculous. And then if I act like, oh, okay, right, I can't say, yes, that's correct, because then now I'm involved in a lie. So obviously I'm not going to do that. If I just let it go, I'm being condescending. Oh, I'm not important enough to take seriously? Like there's always a comeback. And as someone who's autistic, treating someone like they're garbage doesn't really work. Like, that can't be, for me, that's morally not a place I'm supposed to go, right? I'm always supposed to assume people are capable, right? Now, if they say, you know, I don't understand this, like, I can't handle it, what do you think? That's different. But when someone is giving ideas, right, jumping to, I'm sorry that you're that dumb, isn't acceptable. So I'm stuck then with, this is dishonest. Why are you saying it? Because I can't accept that you actually believe it. And this creates this big amount of overhead. In this particular case, I believe it was a direct attack. I believe it was a setup. It was clear dishonesty. It was a clear violation of several of the community rules. You're not allowed to run scams. And it was, if you just search the thing that he was talking about, it's listed in Wikipedia as a well-known and not modern scam. It's a scam going back like 90 years. It was like it was well established as a scam by 1940s, but it was going on in the 30s. Like, so we're talking about 90 years. So this is not a current thing. So he's running this scam and just promoting it for whatever reason, no personal gain, as far as I can tell, just promoting a scam, medical scam. And so I posted, like, this is not okay, right? It's not okay to treat me this way. It's not okay to act this way in the group. It's not okay to do this behavior. We have rules about this. Here's the line. It's a warning. Don't say anything like this again, right? There's no reason to. It has nothing to do with the group. Has nothing to do with Nicaragua, has no purpose for having been in the conversation. It was not a continuation of anything else in the conversation. He lied about who the person was to try to link it in, which was a really weird thing to do. So there was this like general dishonesty and then this direct lying to me stuff. Weird. But I'm like, look, this is not okay. Here's the line. And then he cooled down. He took like 10 minutes. Other people posted. And then I don't know if he was just thinking I looked away or, you know what, didn't have any conversation, didn't engage with anyone else, didn't have a organic flow, went and started posting misinformation with the clear intent to make it look like it was kind of applicable to the scam he was told he could not, without banishment, mention again. And so he got banned. But then people said, you know, we feel this is too harsh, this isn't, and I totally understand that. And that's okay, right? If that's what the group wants and they think that that level of trolling and dishonesty is acceptable, that having a list of rules that you can't violate, getting a warning on it, intentionally stepping over that line. It wasn't something he had in flight. He wasn't in the middle of typing and had to go. He had about 10 minutes and came back and just kept going. This was a picked fight. It was dishonest. It was trolling. It was harmful. And it was an attempt to harm others by being a troll to me. I completely understand because every single person I've talked to has the same general it wasn't great. No one's like, that was great. But they're all like, but, you know, it's kind of okay. It wasn't that big. I totally get that. That is fine. And so because I am needing to treat myself like other members of the community would treat themselves. And I'm going to read this one really quickly because it's relevant to what I'm about to say. And that is 404 office not found. I actually didn't read all of this. I really hope it's relevant to what I'm about to say. 404 office not found at the beginning of the conversation said, lol, I lasted a few weeks the first time and a month the second time until a certain annoying guy came in each time and got on my nerves enough to leave. And so 404 is the perfect example here. As a non-moderator and the non-creator of the group, he goes in and goes, this is cool, it's got value, and then over time it's like, this isn't good for me. This isn't good for my mental health. Whether you're just annoyed, it's wasting your time, or you're actively feeling like someone hates you and is lashing out at you personally with personal attacks, right? And people lying to me is always a personal attack. Read it however you want. Oh, they meant to just harm everyone in the room and you got in the line of fire, okay. But the point being, this is a level of toxicity that I don't want to expose myself to. I want nothing to do with this person, and I'm flat out unwilling to be a member of a space that accepts him. That the space wants to accept him is absolutely fine. And I completely understand why people think that I'm overreacting or that I overreacted by banning him. I'm there. I hope people understand that I followed clear rules and didn't make an emotional decision. I didn't want him ever. I found every post he's ever made to be distracting and detracting from the community. I feel that he has made it an less hospitable space, not an unhospitable, that would be way too far, less hospitable than it should be. But I do believe people like 404 and myself would look at this coming in from the outside and say, this is just a waste of time. Why am I here? That's the kind of thing. I feel that he's there to I feel like he's there to troll, to lower the quality of the community. That is really my feeling. But I completely let that go until there were black and white violations. I followed my warning procedure, gave too much lenience, if anything, and followed the protocol. That the protocol is too harsh, hopefully is the thing that's then looked at, right? Hopefully, when we step back, because like Dale, who's here, was watching, right, that he can look at it and say, okay, I see. Here's the rules. Here's the violation. Here's the warning. Scott followed mechanically the rules, and when the group was like, maybe that's too harsh, that we're discussing the rules being too harsh, the protocol being too harsh, and that's absolutely fine. And if that's what the group feels, then they should modify those rules. You can talk to Tom, who's the moderator now, and he's already responded to me. I know that he's actively involved. He's always been actively involved. I mean, right this moment, he's actively involved. And adjust accordingly by what makes the group happy. And I hope that the group understands that I simply need to respect myself and not put myself in a position where that toxicity is something I have to deal with. I felt no one should have to have that toxicity around them. It's not a healthy thing for the environment. And once we allow it, right, and this is a dangerous thing to say, but it's a slippery slope. When do you stop when you have that? And I know the example is going to be, well, what about Bryce? And Bryce is a very difficult one. But when Bryce has stepped over those lines, and we had a harsh line, he was banned. Did he get to come back after a long period of time? Yes, by accident. And then he's been better than this person since then. Not much, right? And it's a tough one. But he has not gotten a warning line and stepped over it, which is an important thing here, right? This was not someone who got banned without knowing they were being banned. They made the choice to take the ban. They wanted to spread the misinformation. They wanted to say something that I would take as offensive to me, just pretending to be really, really stupid, to try to make a fake point, right? They did that because to them it was worth losing the community to do so. And I hope when you guys reconsider adding them to the community, which I can't do. I have no way to add them back in. I tried. Moderators can't do that. But I hope when you guys look at it that you stop and say, we're letting someone back in who knew they were going to be banned and didn't care about their membership in this community as much as trolling and lying were important to them. And when you stop and look at it and go, okay, so the whole thing was they were spreading misinformation. They got called out. When they were asked to provide evidence, they pulled trolling tricks of saying, I made something up, but you have to prove you're right. That's offensive. That is not okay to say. And when you look at it and go, okay, so this was how they behaved and how they evaluated the situation. Do they have value to have back in the community? I hope you guys evaluate that. But this has crossed a threshold for me, which really probably I should have looked at before, where the time and the emotional overhead of the open community forum in that way is too much, and it is a toll on me that I can't justify from the value I'm trying to provide in it. I think it has value. I hope it continues, but for me, it just crossed a threshold that I'm like, why am I here? Like this is going to be, for at least I know 48 hours, I'm going to feel terrible because I had to interface with this person who treated me in this way, right? The amount that they loathed me to have that conversation, the disrespect, the amount that they put in effort to point out how little they thought of me and how much they wanted me to go away. It's like, wow, this person really hated me. Why did he put in that much effort? I don't want to have to stop and emotionally think about that. And someone's going to be like, that's ridiculous. Why do you feel that way? That was clearly not what happened. It doesn't matter. They were just a person being toxic. I was in the line of fire, but my emotional toll is real. And I know that that's something that's going to affect me this afternoon and tonight and probably some tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to be like kind of down. And I'll be like, from time to time, I'll be like, why do I feel blue? And I call it a blue day, right? I'll be like, I'm feeling blue. And I'll be like, nothing bad's happened today. And I'll be like, oh, this guy said this thing yesterday. I don't even know if it's a real guy, right? Someone said that Luke actually met him. I did not get confirmation from Luke that he did meet him, but I believe he did. So it's a real person. If I didn't have that, I actually thought it was Bryce trolling us with a second account for a really long time. So I hope everybody understands I need to have a certain level of emotional separation where I'm not, and I know the term is heavy here, but forced to be subject to this kind of treatment. If I was a normal community member, if I was 404 office not found, and this happened, no one would think twice when he's just like, I'm not going to stay in this group. Like, why am I here? I'm not, right? Maybe you just don't open it again. Maybe you actively leave. But I know if I'm a member, I will keep coming back, and people will keep referencing it to me. Not for bad reasons, because they want my input on something, or because like, have you seen this or whatever? And there is a lot of value that has been found in there. But I have to weigh that against the cost, to my emotional state, but also to my time, right? So that it takes a financial toll as well. Makes it important for me to evaluate. Luke says, I still say take a Sunday for an MH day, feet in the sand, beer in hand, no electronics for a day. Brian says, on Sam's soapbox, they're always a hoot. 97420 Empire 3, that's a lot of numbers. It's like a code. I would trust no one on WhatsApp. I mean, yeah, for sure. Stephen Reyes. Hi, Scott. Been in Nicaragua for the past 2 days trying to get my citizenship here through my parents. Oh, yes. But I've been denied by the government offices, unfortunately. Just an update. What the heck? You were denied through the government? What denial reason did they give? Are both your parents like full Nicaraguan? Just jumped on in San Juan del Sur now. Buenas tardes. I definitely want, Janice says hi to Stephen. I definitely want info on what's going on there. Brent says, I'm just jumping on the live stream, but for me, the WhatsApp doesn't really work because I can't find any info. Maybe you can search better than I know how. I don't know, but I open it. It has 1,000 unseen posts to scroll through just to jump in and ask a question is fine. And that's, Brent, that's a lot of what I'm talking about as well. Like part of the problem here is the format of the form. It was very easy to create. It let us create these subgroups with Matagalpa, Managua, Leon, and so forth. But using it as a greater resource, it isn't. That's where I'm like, the Mangolassi.it stuff built on NodeBB gets this completely different experience where it's like question, answers, date, searchable. It's completely different. It's like direct to a topic, and then maybe 1 or 20 responses about a specific topic, and they're responses you probably want to read, or at least half of them. Whereas with this, it's like you're in the middle of having a conversation 5,000 messages ago, and you're like, you ask a question, well, where's a good restaurant in Granada that serves fish croquettes? And then there's like 5 posts, and you hope that at least the 5 posts in between are, somewhat valuable. But the reality is a bunch of them aren't. And I'm at fault too. I love being chatty, and it's easy to get on there and just talk. And so I'm part of the problem in those ways, that people are talking about things and you're like, are you talking about model trains again? Or whatever, Dungeons & Dragons is sneaking in. But we're trying to put together a Dungeons & Dragons group in Nicaragua. Where does that become less relevant than a restaurant, right? It's tough. But if you were to search on that restaurant or Dungeons and Dragons, both are lost because of the other one. Every time you're looking at Dungeons and Dragons, you're getting fish croquette answers, and it's hard. You're right. It's a terrible format unless you just want to have a live conversation. If something's happening, last night, what are all these fireworks? It's Leon. We won the national series. We are the national champions yet again here in Leon for baseball. Great. It's perfect for that. Let me just hop into the Expat group and see what's going on. But if you're like, what was going on yesterday? Good luck. You're never going to scroll back that far before it crashes. Dale says, I totally get how the WhatsApp group would be draining for you, Scott. I'm not on the same spectrum as you, nor do I have the same responsibilities on there or in life, and it gets to be too much. Yeah, if I could just ignore it, both from a not being a moderator perspective, like I could just ignore it, and from a OCD perspective, if I could just ignore it, it would be much better, and I could be like, I'm just going to jump on and use it today and not use it tomorrow and whatever. But I feel like I'm kind of supposed to see everything for the most part, and when I don't, people are like, did you see what so and so said? And then I'm putting in like this big effort, and I'm like, did they really? Was it? It's basically the same thing that Dale's saying with me today. Okay, Scott, but was it really? Did he really say that, or are you just feeling that way? And I have to do it in reverse, right? Which I don't enjoy, because was the person being rude? Was this person being overly sensitive? Right? I don't know. I've tried my best. But I feel like I need to look into a lot of those things, and that's draining, just more of a time thing than anything. But then making decisions about it is emotionally draining, because I don't want to do the wrong thing, and that just frustrates me. And there isn't always a clear right and wrong thing. That's part of what's so awful, is that you've got this trapped group of people. And if someone's being obnoxious, you don't want to go too far against them, but they're making other people uncomfortable. You want to make sure they stay comfortable, and balancing that is stressful. And no matter what you do, one side or the other is unhappy. It might be like, all right, I get it, but you went way too far, or whatever. Expats says, only 32 minutes late. Yay. I never joined, so I don't have to leave. It felt like a good idea. No, it's been good. It's been good. Jan says, you're right. He was disappointed. It wasn't exciting if it was a normal day. It wasn't exciting. Oh. He was disappointed if it wasn't exciting if it was a normal day. With his post, she means that it always had to be something, had to be extra post going on all the time. CMC Donald, I understand why you needed to step away. Toxicity can no longer be tolerated. Good for you. Brent says, anyway, sorry you had such a bad experience. I just want to be clear, it wasn't such a bad experience. I don't want that to be the message. The message really should be, this was always a touchy thing that was difficult for me to do, and it's grown mostly from the number of people involved, so that, when it was just a few people, it was not a big deal because there was nothing to read, and we all knew each other in person, which really does change things. And was this the word? I've dealt with way worse stuff. But when I mostly dealt with stuff that was way worse, it was either so much worse that it's like, okay, look at this comment. This cannot happen, right? Like attacking someone or super racism or whatever, right? Those are easy, right? No one's like, oh, were you being too harsh? Everyone's like, yeah, get him. Or I spent a ton of time not being the moderator, and having moderators to go to, and being able to be like, okay, here's the thing they're doing, here's this, here's the timeline, please go look at it. And sometimes the moderators would come back to me and say, oh, this is terrible, we have to get rid of them. Sometimes they would come back and say, I don't think you're right, you're reading this wrong. Okay. And sometimes, and when I was on Spiceworks, this was a big thing that we actually had an agreement. People were allowed to attack me, but they weren't allowed to attack other people. And so sometimes I would get a message from the moderators, because I was very active, right? Like I wasn't like a normal user. And they would contact me, and they'd be like, hey, this person has clearly earned the ban hammer. You want us to get rid of him? And I'm like, it's only me they're attacking, so it's cool. And it's different, right? Like if you're just attacking me, you just want to lash out at me, it doesn't bother me that much because you're just a jerk, like whatever. But if you're using a lash out at me as a mechanism to trick other people, then I see it as lashing out at other people, and that's where It's that, oh, other people are going to misread this and get the misinformation from it or get tricked from it or whatever. That bothers me a lot. I have to do something about it. It's not about having thick skin, which I can pull off. It's about this need for truth, and that's very difficult, right? When you don't have a way to protect against it. And so I really appreciated that those moderators who would have conversations with me and understood that I wanted to allow for as much. I would be like, I would actually post sometimes. People would get like really aggressive, and everyone's like, they're going to be deleted. And I would actually post, please don't remove this, right? Only I am attacked. I want this on record. Right, and the moderators would be like, "Okay, it's going on the internet," right? And I appreciated that stuff. One of the things I don't like about the WhatsApp group is that it doesn't go on the internet. People can't search it, look up these people, and if someone's doing something really obnoxious, we can't go, "Hey, look, this is who they are. They're in public." Right? No, it's lost in this private conversation where we don't know who saw it, we don't know who was affected, and it just makes for personal attacks way easier, or perceiving so. So I don't like that as a kind of mechanism. The other problem that does come up with this that for me isn't too stressful, but I know it's happening to other people, and so that causes me some stress. I have to watch for it. Is a lot of people, not this person, a lot of people use the forum as an opportunity to try to bait into conversations that either violate what they're allowed to do, or put them at risk in their home country, right? So a lot of political conversations may cross a line here where that's not your place to have that conversation, but also there's a lot of baiting to have conversations that could put you at risk back in the United States quite often. And so you don't want to be in a situation where people can openly bait in that way. But it's a difficult one to moderate over. And so that's stressful because of the type of topic it is, that there is a strong incentive for people to try to do that. Brent says, always protect yourself and your peace. Dale says, yeah, I retract my previous assessment that you overreacted. You're correct. Oh, well, thank you, Dale. I appreciate that. And yeah, Bryce was much better this time. Not great, but better. That's totally my feeling on it, Dale. I feel like he's matured some. I feel like the break was good for him, and he's learned that there's consequences. He's also older. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but he's gotten a bit of growing in the time period he's been on the forum, because he's just so young that time is actually kind of significant, right? He's been on the forum for over a year. He was only, I can't remember, 22 or 24 when he started. So like, it's a noticeable amount of your adult life he spent on the forum. So that he's maturing a little bit isn't completely surprising. And he has, as much as it drives Janet crazy that he's always skirting a legal line, he has for the most part changed from being like, hey, here's a way to break the law, let's do this, to, oh, I think that would be breaking the law, or it's a different push. He's definitely improved, and he's definitely still a problem. I think he understands that he's a problem. And I think in this case, if you look at the same time that you were talking to me, Dale, Bryce's responses, while I didn't agree with them, I think he had very reasonable, seasoned responses about the situation. Like, do you really feel that he was doing that? Where do you see this happening? Do you think it, like his responses were well measured, I guess is what I was looking for in that. Steven says, they said they aren't filing paperwork for foreigners for dual citizenship per the new law. I went to 4 different offices in Nicaragua. That is definitely not what the law says. I don't know why they would say that, other than they're still in a state of confusion. Okay, so my question, Stephen, is they said they aren't filing paperwork for foreigners for dual citizenship, but so none of that makes sense, because foreigners are definitely allowed to file paperwork for citizenship, right? Like that's, the dual citizenship law is about seeking dual. Now, I realize you are hoping to be dual, you're not trying to give up one, but filing the paperwork should happen regardless. Like there's no cessation of the paperwork, and you're already a dual citizen. right? There's no law that allows them to strip that from you. So it's a weird situation. I would say speak to, so if they're not filing any paperwork right now, that they have a pause on paperwork, that is totally plausible. There's many different things that take time to do training. And so that things are just shut down, that happens, right? Same thing in the US recently. We had something where paperwork just stopped for a while. Now that was because the government shut down or whatever. But there's like things that just happen and they just stop doing paperwork for periods of time. Normally weeks, could be months. Right now, the U.S. has this pause on visas, right? And someone said they're not banning them. Well, however you want, indefinitely paused, right? But yeah, that's very, very fishy. But send me a note. You can't send it in the WhatsApp group, obviously, which is where I've always had people sending me notes. But drop me an email, and I'll get you in contact with an immigration lawyer who, I know it's not immigration, but they can ask the right people. Is this a pause? What's going on? Right. The lady where I went to the register denied me. Where I went to register. Yeah. Yeah, that's messed up. Because you're only filing to get your passport. You're not filing to become a citizen. Like, that's super weird. Because I was born in the USA, both parents are Nicaraguan. Right. John says, buenas. Wilmer says, hola, saludo desde Nueva York. Hey, Wilmer. I think I'm reading that right. I guess it's Wilma Maltez. It's too many words too close together. Seems to say, yeah, definitely. I want to get to the bottom of this. I'm hoping, I totally expect confusion because even here in country, everyone gets the same misinformation that this is what's going on. But we know we got clarification directly from the National Assembly. Plus, we know layers and layers of the law. And that you've always been dual citizen, having been born to Nicaraguan parents. That is there's a very real possibility that you're the first person they've seen, right? And they're just like, I'm not doing this. Because they get told on one side to do certain things or from like the news. They'll see the news from the U.S. and it's all they hear, and then they may not have time to get clarification from the governments as to exactly what is happening. Did I miss something? Dale says, and yeah, Bryce was much better than... Wait. Oh, Luke said Bryce alluded he is leaving the group. Okay. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating. What? I'm really sorry. That super sucks. There's no easy answer for that. I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, I have no way to test any amount of that situation because, we've reached out and asked for clarification. We've seen the law. We know how the Constitution is written. But what's actually happening on the ground, like how are they handling it? Where are they getting their information from? It's just like, are cameras allowed in? Absolutely. Could you find someone who's going to give you a hard time with cameras? Yeah, you could. Do you have the ability to possibly file against them? Yeah, you possibly do, right? That's why a lawyer might be handy. A lawyer may be like, oh yeah, no, you've got dual citizenship. Why are they're not allowed to deny a Nicaraguan their own paperwork? Expats says, hola. And written in the law is process. It's very basic, but there is process in the law for having to choose your citizenship. So even if they felt that the new law applied to you, they're not doing what they're supposed to do according to how the law was written, which is that they're supposed to then evaluate which one, right? So no matter what, I think an immigration lawyer who can talk directly to Migración on your behalf is the way to go, and explain, because the person at the register may not have the slightest bit of training. Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 days, so I went to the beach. Yeah. So that is the highlights of why I left the WhatsApp group. I don't want people to take it as this one thing was so big, it was so awful, oh my gosh, Scott's falling apart. It's not like that. I need to sometimes reevaluate and rebalance my life a little bit, just like sometimes I go out on Friday nights and go dancing and stuff, and sometimes I go, oh my gosh, I have not been at home enough. I should really snuggle my dogs and nap, right? And it's important for all of our mental health to sometimes recognize that it is good to stay home and nap. Sometimes it's good not to be overly available to people. I try very hard to be super available to as much as possible to all the expats and everybody, right? And we do the show every day. At some point, it's important to step back and go, we do a show every day, and at least once a week it's live. So people can wait a few days and get information from me if they need to. It's not like they are completely lacking the ability to have real-time conversations with me, even without the WhatsApp group, even without having my WhatsApp personally. It just need to wait a little bit. And all of you are able to talk to me live right this second, right now, right? So it's a good example that this still exists as a mechanism. It's just I have to time box it a little bit. And not to be like, I'm the important one here, but you are all on my YouTube live right now. But for a lot of everyone else, the WhatsApp group is just naturally a lot more casual, and I feel very much that I have to be on 24/7 when I'm on it, that it's just very focused, and a lot of people are looking for me or have an expectation that I'll be there. I'm not saying this is real, I'm just saying that I feel this way. And like that creates like, I do know that no one expects me to wake up at 2 a.m. And answer things or anything like that, but there is this, like, I'm watching TV late at night and it's like, oh, what's going on in the group? Wake up in the morning, what's going on in the group? All throughout the day, it's up on my desktop, and it's just, I sometimes, like, I'm on a meeting and I look away, but I'm generally watching, and that's a lot. It's a lot, and doing this show on top of it. But I did appreciate a lot of topics came from there, so it's kind of sucked not having that, but I think having a little bit less continuous 24/7 accessibility to me is just a wise way to go in general, and because I'm still awfully accessible. not trying to disappear, just trying to limit to 1 or 2 hours per day, typically, not where did I leave off? Oh, Stephen is frustrated, for sure. Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 days. Some said I would be stripped of my USA citizenship, which I know is not true. Yeah, which shows that they're willing to say those things. I guarantee they're just confused, because it really is. It's been a week. Those are not things that they would want to risk being put on record if they weren't confused, right? If they knew that they were defying the law, they wouldn't be like, hey, I'm just going to make this up. And, it's one thing to be like, we're not processing right now. That's reasonable. Anything could stop processing. But to directly defy what the law says is a very different move. So I'm sure that's a mistake made out of confusion. And if you think about being in that position where you're probably lacking on clarity, what is your real response going to be? Well, it's going to be to do nothing and just be like, yeah, we're not doing that now. Larry says, you just made my evening. Sorry, Larry, we've already been on for an hour. I don't know how much more will be. Expats says, I'm on your side, Scott. Thank you. Luke says, es hora de mi tarea para mi clase de español. Adiós, y'all. John Mason says, sometimes it is good to do absolutely nothing and then rest. Okay, so I'm not going that far. I write software so I've been writing software all day, which I do most days. I have an emergency. Emergency is not the right word. I have a high priority project that has to be done in very short order, and we're scrambling to get that done, and I find it very stressful, the amount that needs to happen. Okay. My team needed me in the background. Speaking of, like, whenever I'm doing this, like, people need conversations in the background. It's a lot. I just need to do just one thing at a time all day, not two, is part of the problem. Larry says, just turned on YouTube. Did you mention new Chinese and the coffee shop? I did not. There's a new Chinese. They're calling it a tea room across from the new entrance, the air conditioned entrance. I think that's right, of Gecko's here in Leon. But by this week, I think it's a full Chinese restaurant, which I've not had a chance to try yet. Looking forward to trying out. It looks like it might be a bit more Chinese than most of the places we've had. Tim in Nicaragua, everyone has to find what helps them keep their sanity. It's different for everyone. Absolutely. And that's, I hope that it's not a dog fight. That sound is my dog, but it's the puppy, and he's scared of any new people. So probably the night guard just showed up because of what time it is, and it might be someone new or one he doesn't recognize, and so he's freaking out. That's a dog fight. Okay. So yes, okay, but yeah, it's different for everyone, and I hope that my long explanation of being autistic and having like certain things affect me way, like everyone's on some has their own things, right? Like everybody. So for me, some of these things are really, really easy, and some of them are very, very hard. And today's type of thing is extremely hard, and just a wearing down that, and it's very easy for me to have the frog in boiling water thing, where I get in and it's great, and then there's a little bit of something, and I'm like, it's fine. It doesn't affect me that much. And then you have an interaction that's negative, and you're like, oh, I didn't. But so many great people, and then that happens a little bit more and more, and you don't really notice it too much. And then today it was enough that I'm like, I think I need to evaluate this, right? I need to wait. And especially when people are like, no, I think you went too far. I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense. But, I'm at a point where I'm evaluating this, and I just have to make a choice. I don't want to be going too far as the moderator. That's not fair to everybody. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm subjected to this. That would be unfair to me. That really only leaves me one choice, right? And so, and Janet said, what if you just step back as the moderator? Like, that doesn't really solve the problem, because then, I still will feel trapped. I just won't have this responsibility. I'll be like, Tom, can you go deal? But the situation will remain the same, I think, and just the things that work for me don't necessarily work for the majority of people, is kind of often the case. I'm not going to try to pronounce it anymore. Have you visited Bluefields or Corn Island? I have not. He just hopped off, but Luke and I are scheduled. Originally it was January, but oh my gosh, we're both so busy, and it's already the 21st. We're planning on heading to not Bluefields, but Bilwi, also known as Puerto Cabeza, the northern and larger city on the coast in Okay, I think they're okay. I'm gonna go check on the dogs real quick, guys. we're gonna come in here because you're scared. Okay. Okay, the dog is scared of the cats. That was the other dog attacking the cats. They're not together. It's okay, come here. Come here. You need to be helped. You need to be on TV. There you are. Yes. Hi. Oh, don't bite my ear. Okay. So Ramen here was scared, and Clive went to defend him, and hopefully you're able to be on the. We're gonna see if you're on the vertical. Oh, you are. You're so handsome. You're so handsome. You're gonna be a famous model dog. You are, or a dog model. You're hardly a model dog. You're always getting in trouble. Yeah. But he's such a sweetie. We do. Oh, you're not on enough. There you go. Yeah, you ready to get down? Okay. You're a good boy. You gotta lift up your feet. There you go. I know you don't know where your feet are, because you're a puppy. So back to that. Yes, John's like, no, he hasn't gone. We're gonna fill in for Scott because he's not here. Thank you, John. No, I've not been to Bluefields. I do work in Belize, which is very similar. So I get a surprising amount. I have dog stuff in my mouth. A surprising amount of the same vibe being in Belize. Belize is actually very similar in population to one of the autonomous zones in Nicaragua. One meaning either one, they're about the same. It speaks the same Creole. It has the same weather. It has the same vibe. I gotta let the dog out now that he's alone and in the room and he's calmed down. You go get in trouble with the other dog. Okay. Oh. The big one came in, so he decided he had to come back and join her. Of course. Mayhem with you dogs. So I have a lot of the feel of Bluefields. Obviously, it's somewhat different. I do want to go to Bluefields at some point. It's very far. But Luke and I are planning on going to Bilwi at very least this year, hopefully in March. We're going to road trip out from Matagalpa, take Nicaragua 5 or whatever it is, and head out there. And that I want to do a full road trip and like cover a bunch of stuff and just do a bunch of places that people never go. I think it'll be pretty wild. And I've not been to the Corn Islands. My wife keeps wanting to go. It keeps getting pushed off. One of these days we'll get out there. I'm not a big Caribbean person. Like, it's one of the reasons I live on the Pacific coast. But it's just the vibe is not my big thing. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. But I also, like I said, I work in Belize. So I get Caribbean as much as I want it already. Because my offices are like, I don't know, 200 meters from the water. So yeah, when we're there, we're getting the experience pretty much, and because we do work with the Port Authority, we will just like jet out to Key Kulker or whatever as well, which is very, sit back, Caribbean island, have a beer, woo, right? So. I don't feel this huge need to get out there, but definitely want to. Everyone has to find out how. Sorry, reading all these messages, making sure I didn't. Oh, Expats, the most popular Nika channel. It's not quite the most popular. It's the most popular expat in English channel. You have to really, really narrow it down. If I start a YouTube channel, this is Expats, is it okay to have Nika in the channel title? I do. Yeah, it's fine. Are you saying no? Stop competing with me? Is that what you're asking, or are you asking if it's okay to have it? Yeah, my channel name is Scott Allen Miller is living in Nicaragua, so I definitely have that. Immense Coffee does not. All the real estate ones do. Obviously, they're a little bit different, but they all put Nicaragua in the name somehow. Expats, 7 years from now, that puppy will be an old man. It's true. The other dog that's in here with him, Mia, that you guys see sometimes. Hi, baby. She's 7, and she'll be 8 this year. She's 7.5, and sometimes she's still a puppy, but sometimes she's the old lady. Huh? You want to come be on the show? Nope, she's completely ignoring me. Vince is here. He says, hey, Scott, we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes already. And was not planning on doing this live stream tonight, but wanted to cover the topic and explain what had happened. So, hi, now the dog's under me now. Yes, don't bite me. Don't bite me. He's such a biting dog. Oh. Oh. Oh no, someone that I was in the middle of doing the bot check for letting them into the group and just responded as like, yeah, I'm not a bot, and sent a whole bunch of stuff to explain who they are. And okay, no bite. No. Jeez. I gotta send it. No. Send a note to Tom and be like, this is a real person. Hey, stop. Seriously? Arr. I'm gonna kick you out. Okay. Oh, you're pawing me? He's pawing me. He's like, no. No. Biting my chair. And he's always under my chair. I'm gonna roll over him on accident at some point. I'm moving you away. There you go. You're better over there. Sorry for the dog interruptions. Tim in Nicaragua is my YouTube. Yeah, there you go. So Nika is okay. It is not offensive. Oh, Nika alone. No, Nika's not offensive. That's what they're called, right? Just like they're called Ticas in Costa Rica. It's not an offensive term. Not competing. It'll just be a hobby for my trip. Yeah, absolutely. You can use Nika. Nika refers to things of Nicaragua and mostly the people, whereas Nicaragua for the country, you never say, I'm going to Nika. That would be weird. I'm going to Nicaragua, but the Nika people are there. That makes sense in how to use it, I guess. Nika food, you can use it as, it's often used as an adjective, I guess. But a person from here is a Nika, so it's a noun as well. Looks like a good personal trainer. Do you mean the dog? So I guess I need to know how to do that bot check thing now. Oh, are you moderating now, Janet? Are you in? All I do is when someone new pops in and I'm terrible at keeping up with it, I just send them a note that says, hey, doing the bot check. How did you hear about the channel? And then if they respond with something that in any way sounds like it's probably a human, it probably is. Most of the bots either respond with gibberish and you're like, this is not a conversation, or they never respond. The majority of the bots just never respond. They give up. They're like, oh, you're going to check? Nope. Move on. Like, okay. It's kind of like that CAPTCHA thing, right? If you bother to click this button, good enough. Oh, evidently I am or will be. Oh, awesome. Well, congratulations. I can send you, Janet, the links for when I go live so you can post them, because that's how I get the word out about the live show. Expats says, not every bot is bad. My bot is live streaming now on Twitch. Yes, I know. I believe we'll see if this really happens. I think I'm going to play some Dungeons & Dragons with my kids tonight. That is the direction I am hoping to go. We kind of wanted to just hang out and do nothing. There was some reason, like they wanted to play a video game but couldn't. They wanted a night off from video games. I can't remember. We've been watching The Expanse, which they are really liking. My eldest tends to be the most like, I'm tired of this, I don't want to watch it. And at like 2 o'clock in the morning last night, we were like, only 2 episodes, it's so late. And she's like, well, I kind of want to watch another. We're like, what? So we watched until like nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. We're almost done with the 2nd season of The Expanse, so we're not super far into it. I have seen through the 3rd, but trying to get to the new ones, but my kids are catching up. So we have a lot of people on. I don't really want to cut it short when we've got loads of people on, but that was my topic for this evening, and I do need to go chill, spend some time with the kids, do some work. But just wanted to take an opportunity to make sure everybody's on the same page as to what. Stop that! Oh my gosh! He's eating the UPS. And it's not just that there's things he shouldn't eat in the office. Like, why would you be eating a big UPS unit? But also, it sits in the corner for a long time and is loaded with dust, and the lizards climb on it all the time. No! Stop that! So it's potentially dangerous. Because who knows what diseases they have. You don't need to eat that. You just don't. I like that the Expanse was realistic from a physics perspective. Yes, I really like that they don't go into like this crazy, insane, like mystical, magic, fairy dust travel stuff. Like, we got to turn the ship around. Oh no, we're gonna burn backwards for a while so we can slow down, and it's gonna suck. And if we do this any faster, we all die. Like that's how it. That's how it should be. That's how it works. Space travel isn't this trivial thing. Things take time. Star Trek is way too much like, we have to travel to another universe. That'll be 15 minutes. We won't be there in time, right? And we can magically talk to each other in real time. No. They're like, there's a battle going on Mars. That means by the time we see it on our screen, it's over, right? You're like, that's how it actually works. That's really good. Scott Howe. Bum, bum, bum. Hey, no. How do you like naka tamales? I'm not a huge fan. I have to be honest. I don't like tamales just across the board. Never have. I don't like the masa. It's just not a thing for me. I can eat them. They're fine. I'm not like, ew. I just, if you're like, yes, we're getting back to Nicaragua, we're going to have naka tamales. Nope, not my thing at all. Now, part of that is I'm vegetarian. So what I feel like the dog has moved the camera. Maybe he didn't, but I think he did. Other people where they're like, these naka tamales are so good, so good, so good. The ones that I get are not the same. So that's a factor that I have a very tiny selection. It's very rare that I can get them. I can't conveniently get them. I can't go to that awesome lady on the corner that does the best naka tamales in town and get them. I can't do that. It's like this big effort to get one, and then it doesn't have that meat that is the basis of what so many people like about naka tamales, and so it's just kind of lackluster. My wife really does like them. She keeps a number of vegetarian ones frozen and then heats them up. So she likes them. But for me, it's like the texture and stuff. It's too bland for me. Just doesn't do it. No le gustan demasiado. Yeah, not my favorite, but they're okay. But I do eat them, and I've been having them for a long time. So, all right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much for jumping on for this particular conversation. I really appreciate the support and the understanding and everything. So remember, tomorrow's the real live stream when I'll actually have energy and prep and start at a more reasonable time. I'll still have the dog is here. Hi. He wants to be on the show. Do you want to be on the show again? Yes. Oh, you're so sweet. I don't think they can see you this time, though. You're too far away. Yeah. Oh, now he's being sweet. He was being obnoxious before, but now he's being the loving dog. Yeah. He's a good little boy. Oh, yes, the camera moved. The black screen to the bottom corner is closer to you in the picture. That's what I thought. He hit the camera and it went more behind. It's the monitor is what it is. I normally have the camera way over. That's my fault that it's so much over, but he knocked it. And I'm like, that's not where it was. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe if you would like to see the real live stream. That is tomorrow. Join us. Be ready for the long one. And thanks, Expats, for translating on the